So, you just achieved level 80, and you're interested in learning how to get the best loot for your spec, eh? Well, look no further. My name is Agronus, and I have complete best in slot, and I'm ready to raid. And it's my privilege to be showing you how to achieve just that in today's episode of Pre-Raid Best in Slot, Protection Paladin Edition.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the channel. My name is Sky, and today we're going to be going over pre-raid best in slot for Protection Paladin and Wrath of the Lich King. I want to quickly go over some super important information about hit rating, because you are a melee tank and you need a total of 8% hit or 263 hit rating minimum in total. You need to know also that 1% hit equates out to 32.7 hit rating overall. You could also skip 3% if you're in a raid with a Shadow Priest or a Moonkin with Fairy Fire spec. If you're an Alliance player with a Draenei in your group, you could take off 1% as well. So now that you learned a little bit about hit rating and how much you need, as a Protection Paladin, you want to focus your stat priorities on defense at a minimum of 540, because if you don't, you run the risk of being one-shotted by certain boss mechanics, expertise at a cap of 26, hit until 263, stamina, block and dodge, and parry. Something to note is that you get 10 expertise from your Glyph of Seal of Vengeance, and your combat expertise talent gives you 6 expertise as well. Now that all the need-to-know information is out of the way, let's begin with the pre-raid best in slot for Protection Paladin. Starting things off, we're going to talk about the head slot. If you have absolutely nothing, the easiest is going to be the Tempered Serenite Helmet from Blacksmithing. This can at least give you something to use. After that, you have the Armored Titanium Goggles from Engineering, which is very, very powerful. They provide 2 socket slots, nice amount of defense, and a really good amount of expertise to help you land your attacks and abilities. Lastly, you have Arcane Shielded Helm from Heroic Nexus, which gives you a ton of tanking stats, and 2 socket slots as well to fill up with, pretty much whatever you want. And lastly, you have the Ground Tremor Helm from Heroic Gundrak. I put this in there because there is a ton of items for you, as you will see throughout this video, from Heroic Gundrak. Overall, all these are pretty good and aren't that difficult to obtain either, so you shouldn't have a problem with a headpiece. Now moving on to one of the most exciting pieces you could obtain is a Trinket. Your number one option as a tank would be the Seal of the Pantheon from Heroic Halls of Lightning. This gives you a nice amount of defense and has a really amazing activatable that makes you a lot tankier, so it's very valuable. Next you have the Leventhor's Talisman from Heroic Violet Hold, which once again greatly increases your defenses with an on-use effect. And for your last on-use trinket, you have the Offering the Sacrifice from Heroic Gundrak. Once again, you're going to hear Heroic Gundrak a lot come out of this video, so keep note of that. This gives you a flat amount of armor as a passive and increases the health by 3,000 for an on-use effect for 15 seconds. So it's very good for a scary moment. And the last trinket that I recommend you could obtain is the Essence of Gossamer, which comes out of Heroic Azul Nerub, which can give you a whopping 111 stamina and a really good chance on hit to reduce damage you take on this trinket, making it a very, very good pickup for tanks and stuff. After that, we're going to talk about shoulders, starting things off with the Tempered Serenite Shoulders from Blacksmithing. Once again, super easy to obtain, craftable item. So if you don't have anything, definitely go pick up, these blacksmithing pieces. Next up, we have the Glimmer Shell Shoulder Protectors from the Oracle's Reputation, getting them to Revered. These are great if you have, defense capped and you're looking to fill up some other tanking stats. And then now, personally, you have my 2 favorite options, which is going to be the Iron Dwarf Smith Pauldrons from Heroic Halls of Lightning and the Pauldrons of the Colossus from Heroic Gundrak. Dwarf Smith Pauldrons are very, very good shoulders, and they give a ton of really good stats. And the Colossal Pauldrons are really good, don't get me wrong, it's just they are a random drop from Heroic Gundrak, so you would have to get kind of lucky to obtain this thing. Now moving on to the chest piece, where you are a bit limited, starting off with the Breastplate of the Solemn Council from the Wormrest Reputation, getting them to Revered. This chest piece is amazing. A ton of good stamina, good amount of expertise, a nice chunk of defense. It really has everything you need. After that, we have this Sun Emblazoned Chestplate from Heroic Halls of Stone. It's great if you're lacking some hit. And then finally, you have the Ziggurat Imprinted Chest Guard from Heroic Draktheron Keep. This is a really good item if you have hit and expertise nearly covered. It really depends on what you need as a tank for, one of your chest piece options. So it's really just a judgment call here, figuring out what you need the most. Moving along to hands, you have a very easy option in the daunting handguards, which come out of blacksmithing. You can grab these if you don't really have anything. Very, very easy to obtain and craft, so it's a good pickup. Next, you have the Gauntlets of the Water Revenant from Heroic Violet Hold, which give you your two most important stats, defense and hit, making these a great potential pickup. And for the final two, you have the Horn Tip Gauntlets from Heroic Gundrak and Fireproofing Gauntlets from Kirin Tor Rep, getting them exalted. For the glove pieces, these two give a ton of stamina and great stats like defense as well. Remember, you could potentially be wearing the Kirin Tor tabard to try and make sure you get these a lot easier. But overall, these are both amazing, amazing gloves. I'm personally going to be going for the Horn Tip Gauntlets, though, out of Heroic Gundrak. There's just so many items in there. I'm going to be practically living in there for a while. Next up, we have legs, starting off the Daunting Leg Plates, which once again come from blacksmithing. Definitely grab these if you don't have anything. After that, you have the special issue leg plates from Argent Crusade reputation, getting them from Honored, which is very, very easy to obtain if you don't have anything as well. Lastly, you have the bolstered leg plates from Heroic Violet Hold and the Leg Guardians leg guards from Heroic Oculus. Both of these are really, really good set of pants with, they both have defense, hit, really good amount of stamina. They have a socket slot. There's no doubt these bad boys are going to be valuable, and that's why they're on this list. Moving on to the bracers, you have a couple options, starting off with the obvious Tempered Serenite bracers. Very, very easy to obtain. Once again, another blacksmithing item. After that, you have the Bindings of Dark Will, which come from Heroic Coaling of Strathaholm, which is a good pickup as well due to the parry and defense on there. So if you don't need any hit or expertise or anything like that, definitely grab these. And then finally, you have the very, very massive Bracers of the Herald from Heroic Old Kingdoms. These are literally just a better version of the Bindings of Dark Will, so if you can get your hands on these, I mean, you'll be in a very good spot. Going on to the waist now, you are very, very limited with only two real options here. Number one, starting off with Scotty's Iron Belt from Heroic Utgard Pinnacle, and the Ancient Aligned Girdle from Heroic Azul Narub. Both of these are really, really good options. Good waist slots. They come from these heroic dungeons, so you'll have to manually grind them out. You will be more than happy to obtain either one of these before Nax, so it's really whichever one you can get your hands on first. First on the list for boots, you have the Tempered Titan Steel Treads from Blacksmithing. These can be a little bit difficult to craft due to the material needs, like the Frozen Orb and the Titan Steel and such, but you can just, make sure you reserve a Frozen Orb before you go into a heroic dungeon. Make sure you let the group know, hey, I'm going in this dungeon, I'll tank no problem, but I need this Frozen Orb. And, usually 9 times out of 10, they'll make sure you get it. Next up, you have the very easy to obtain Toxin Tempered Sabatons from the Ebon Blade rep. Decent stats and attributes, could be easy if you don't have anything to grab. And the last two is you have the Terrace of Defense Boots from Heroic Draktheron Keep, and Greaves of Ancient Eagle from Heroic Old Kingdom. For these last two, it entirely depends on which ones you get first. Both are really, really good boots, and if you can grab a Frozen Orb for one of these dungeons as well, it's a real 2-for-1 special. And finally, moving on to everyone's favorite part, the weapons. Starting off with, you have the Questline Wanted Rage Mains Flipper, which drops 3 potential really, really good items for the quest reward. You have the Hammer of Quiet Mourning, Crescent of Brooding Fury, and the Sword of Heart-Wrenching Slaughter. 3 very, very easy to obtain starter weapons, very solid to just get you going. For the last two, you have Infantry Assault Blade from Heroic Utgard Keep, and the Red Sword of Courage from Heroic Utgard Pinnacle. Both of these give really, really good defense as well as hit/expertise, making them very, very powerful items that aren't too hard to obtain. Very good for tanks. For the shields, you have 2 craftable shields. Starting off on number 1, the Titan Steel Shield Wall, and then number 2 is the Serenite Bulwark, both from Blacksmithing. Obviously, if you could attain a Frozen Orb or 2, make sure you craft that Titan Steel Shield, and my god, you'll be a lot tankier with it. Moving along to the neck pieces, you have the Random Drops with the Pendant of Nathrazim from Heroic Coaling of Strathaholm. Next up, you have the Titanium Earthguard Chain from Jewel Crafting, which can be crafted, but you do need a Frozen Orb to craft this, which you'll potentially be getting a decent amount of them, being as you are a tank. And lastly, you have the Shadow Seeker's Pendant from Heroic Old Kingdom. This is a really good pickup if you can get it, but it might take you a few tries in the Old Kingdom to obtain it, though. Lastly, we have back and jewelry. For back, we have 2 very easy ones to obtain with durable Nurub Hide Cape from Leatherworking and the Cloak of Peaceful Resolutions from the Worm Rest Reputation. Once again, if you get any Frozen Orbs, you can craft that Leatherworking Cape. Ask someone for some help, and you'll give them the mats plus a tip. Get that really, really solid cape. If you don't want to, spend Frozen Orbs or craft anything like that, Just get the Worm Rust Reputation Cape. It's solid, easy to obtain with only honored reputation. It's good. It's a good piece to have. Lastly, you have the Cloak of the Enemy from Heroic Nexus, which I would recommend grabbing if you need the hit for sure. Definitely grab that. On the rings, you have 2 craftable ones with Titanium Earthguard Ring from Jewel Crafting and the Ring of Earth and Might as well. You can grab the Earth and Might ring if you have absolutely nothing, but we also have some really, really nice defense rings out there with the Unsmashable Heavy Band from Heroic Utgard Keep, the Band of Torture from Heroic Oculus, the Woeful Band from Heroic Halls of Stone, and the Nerubian Shield Ring from Heroic Old Kingdom. Try to grab any of these rings. Make sure you're 500 defense cap. That is your like absolute #1 priority. You need defense cap, and these rings will probably get you there. Just make sure that's a very, very big priority for you. But remember, ladies and gentlemen, that I created an Excel spreadsheet with all this information laid out on where to get the loot, how many times you need to run a dungeon, what items drop from where, the best way to maximize your efficiency as much as possible. So please check out the Excel spreadsheet below. You got to understand that plate tanking gear is incredibly linear in Wrath of the Lich King. It's a lot more, progressive rather than classic in TBC. So let's just say Wrath of the Lich King launch tomorrow. The #1 thing I'm going to do is I'm going to minimum make sure I have all the lower level blacksmithing defense gear on my character. They're very easy to make. So when you do hit level 80, you can go run those heroic dungeons. And then you want to make sure you equip the Worm Rest Tabard as fast as possible for a 2-for-1 special on that reputation gear. After you get some very decent gear, nothing too crazy, the very first thing I'm going to actually do once I get a decent amount of gear is go run Heroic Gundrak and Heroic Old Kingdom. These 2 dungeons alone combine for a total of 9 items you could potentially obtain, which is absolutely massive. You have trinkets, shoulders, gloves, neck, helm, wrist, boots, and rings. You name it, these dungeons have it. Also, if you manage to get a frozen orb for running any heroics or any of those dungeons, possibly go buy one from a guildie or have someone help you with one. You can go craft your Titan Steel Tread boots, as well as your Titan Steel shield very, very quickly if you can get your blacksmithing up or if someone has it up already. So you can be very, very tanky early on for not doing that much work. After that, it's just about filling in the rest of the armor gaps and making sure you have a minimum of 540 defense before you step into Nax on raid day. And then, it's really just about repeating those steps for about 3, 4, 5-ish days at the max, and you should have a ton of gear by that point. But okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap up this video. I want to thank you all so much for watching, and it is an absolute pleasure to make content for you all. If you made it to the end of the video, and if there's any of you who are still out there, can you please comment, "I want bis" below? I just want to see if anyone even makes it to the end of the video. I'm just curious. But anyways, guys, my name's Sky from the Comeback Kids. I'll see you on the next one. Have a wonderful day. Peace.